The suspects tried getting away on the moped northbound on Humboldt Street, and surveillance video shows them going the wrong way down a one-way street, and you can see they collided with the car at Manhattan Avenue and Siegel Street, and both suspects were thrown from that moped. The alleged gunman and rear passenger landed so hard his shoes flew off, and he was rushed to the hospital, where he was later taken into custody for an unrelated incident, a domestic violence-related robbery. But again, police this morning still trying to track down the other suspect who was driving that moped.
On April 2nd, 2026, officers responded to a reported shooting along Humboldt Street in Brooklyn, New York. What they found was every parent's worst nightmare. A 7-month-old infant had been struck by gunfire while sitting peacefully in her stroller. The child was rushed to the hospital for emergency medical treatment, but despite the best efforts of doctors and first responders, she later succumbed to her injuries. The victim was identified as 7-month-old Kaori Patterson-Moore, a beautiful baby girl who was just beginning to discover the world around her. Her short life was cut tragically short in what authorities have described as a senseless act of gang-related violence that had nothing to do with her or her family. This story has shaken the Brooklyn community and drawn attention across New York City and beyond. It highlights the devastating impact of reckless gun violence in public spaces, where innocent bystanders, especially children, can become unintended victims in moments of chaos. In the days following the incident, details have emerged about the shooting, the suspects involved, the family's profound grief, and the ongoing pursuit of justice. Today we are going to walk through the full timeline of what happened, who has been held accountable so far, the reactions from loved ones and neighbors, and what this tragedy means for broader conversations about safety in urban neighborhoods. Let's start by setting the scene on that fateful Wednesday afternoon. It was April 1st, 2026, around 1 p.m. in the East Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, near the intersection of Humboldt Street and Moore Street. This is a busy residential area with families going about their daily routines, people running errands, and children playing or being taken for walks. The weather was typical for early April, mild enough for a stroll outdoors, with parents pushing strollers and enjoying the fresh air after a long winter. Leanna Charles Moore, the mother of 2 young children, was out with her family that day. She was pushing a double stroller that carried her 7-month-old daughter, Kaori Patterson-Moore, and her 2-year-old son. They were simply going about normal everyday activities, perhaps heading to a store or just getting some fresh air. Kaori was described by her family as a happy, smiling baby who had recently started saying her first word, Mama. She was beginning to take her first tentative steps and was full of curiosity about the world. Her big brother was right there beside her in the stroller, the 2 siblings enjoying what should have been an ordinary outing with their mother. Without any warning, gunfire erupted on the street. Witnesses and police reports indicate that 2 individuals on a scooter or moped sped through the area. The passenger on the back of the vehicle allegedly pulled out a firearm and fired multiple shots. Investigators believe this was part of a targeted gang-related dispute, with the gunfire directed toward a rival group or individual on the sidewalk. Tragically, one of those bullets went astray and struck little Kaori while she sat innocently in her stroller. The bullet hit her in the head, a devastating wound that would prove fatal. In the immediate aftermath, chaos ensued. The mother and other bystanders rushed for cover, and the family hurried into the nearby bodega for safety. It was inside that store, captured on security footage that has since been widely reported, that Leanna Charles Moore first realized something was terribly wrong with her baby. She noticed Kaori had been hit. Panic and heartbreak set in as the reality of the situation became clear. Emergency services were called right away. Kaori was transported urgently to Woodhull Hospital, where medical teams worked tirelessly to save her life. Sadly, her injuries were too severe, and she was pronounced dead a short time later. Her 2-year-old brother was also grazed by a bullet during the incident, but survived with non-life-threatening injuries. The mother herself was unharmed physically, but has been left with unimaginable emotional trauma. This was not a targeted attack on the family. Police have repeatedly emphasized that the bullet that killed Kaori was a stray round, never intended for her. She was simply in the wrong place at the worst possible moment, caught in the crossfire of someone else's conflict. The suspects were identified relatively quickly thanks to witness accounts, surveillance video, and rapid police work. The shooter was named as 21-year-old Amuri Greene, a Brooklyn resident. According to authorities, Greene was riding as the passenger on the back of the scooter when he allegedly opened fire multiple times. After the shooting, the scooter crashed into oncoming traffic. Greene was thrown from the vehicle and suffered a broken leg in the process. He was taken to the hospital, where he was placed under police custody while receiving treatment. On Thursday, April 2nd, Greene was formally charged. The charges against him are serious and extensive. They include 3 counts of murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 5 counts of criminal possession of a weapon, 2 counts of attempted criminal possession of a weapon, and 2 counts of assault. During his arraignment, Greene pleaded not guilty. He remains in custody as the legal process moves forward. Police have described him as a known associate of a street gang operating out of a public housing project in Brooklyn, specifically linked to the Marcy Houses area in Bedford-Stuyvesant. The second individual involved was the driver of the scooter. This person fled the scene after the crash. A citywide manhunt was launched, with police offering rewards for information leading to his capture. The driver was later identified as 18-year-old Matthew Rodriguez, which he was located and detained in Pennsylvania just days after the shooting. Authorities believe Rodriguez was the one operating the moped at the time of the incident. He is now awaiting extradition back to New York, where he is expected to face charges related to the shooting. As of the latest updates, both suspects are in custody, bringing some measure of accountability, though it does little to ease the pain for Kaori's family. This incident has been classified by the NYPD as gang-related violence that spilled out onto a public street. Officials, including Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch and Chief of Detectives Joe Kenny, addressed the media in the days following the shooting. They stressed that the gunfire was directed at a specific target, possibly Kaori's father, Amuri Patterson. And according to some reports from the family and media, but the reckless nature of the shooting endangered everyone in the vicinity, including children in strollers. The moped was seen riding against traffic in some footage. adding to the dangerous and brazen character of the act. The community response has been one of profound shock and mourning. Vigils have been held near the intersection where the shooting occurred. Mourners gathered with teddy bears, flowers, candles, and balloons to honor Kaori's memory. Family members spoke through tears at these gatherings. Kaori's grandparents expressed their devastation, saying the entire family was heartbroken and struggling to comprehend how such a thing could happen to an innocent baby. Her father, Kaori Patterson, had released a letter in which he wrote about wanting to spend his entire life being her father and trying to turn his own life around for his children's sake. He described the unimaginable pain of losing his daughter in such a violent way. Leanna Charles Moore, the mother, has shared how Kaori was just starting to explore new things, learning words, taking steps, smiling at everyone she met. In one emotional statement, she and others noted that the little girl had so much life ahead of her, only for it to be stolen in seconds by a bullet fired in anger. Neighbors in East Williamsburg and surrounding areas have spoken out about feeling unsafe due to ongoing gang activity and gun violence. Some residents have called for stronger police presence, better community programs to steer young people away from gangs, and stricter measures against illegal firearms. This tragedy is not isolated. Brooklyn, like many parts of New York City, has seen its share of gun violence incidents involving bystanders, including children. Statistics from the NYPD show that while overall crime rates have fluctuated, shootings in public spaces continue to pose risks to everyday citizens. Cases like this one often spark renewed debates about gun control, policing strategies, youth intervention programs, and the root causes of gang involvement: poverty, lack of opportunities, cycles of retaliation, and easy access to illegal weapons. In the broader context, Kaori's death has been compared to other high-profile cases where innocent children have been killed by stray bullets in urban environments. It serves as a stark reminder that when guns are fired indiscriminately, the consequences extend far beyond the intended targets. Families are shattered, communities are traumatized, and society pays a heavy price in lost potential and ongoing fear. As the legal proceedings against Amuri Greene and Matthew Rodriguez unfold, many questions remain. Will there be additional charges or connections uncovered? How strong is the evidence from surveillance footage and witness statements? What support will be provided to the family as they navigate grief and the court system? The district attorney's office is expected to handle the case with the seriousness it deserves, seeking justice for Kaori while ensuring due process for the accused. For the family, the road ahead is incredibly difficult. They must plan a funeral for a baby who should have been celebrating her first birthday in just a few months, and they have to explain to a 2-year-old why his sister is no longer there. They face the challenge of healing while the media spotlight remains on their loss. Community organizations and advocates have stepped up to offer support, but nothing can truly replace the life that was taken. Looking at the wider picture, incidents like the shooting of Kaori Patterson-Moore fuel calls for comprehensive solutions. Some advocate for more proactive policing in high-crime areas, including focused deterrent strategies targeting known gang members. Others emphasize prevention through education, job training, mental health services, and after-school programs that give young people positive alternatives. There are also discussions about reforming bail laws, improving witness protection, and cracking down on the flow of illegal guns into cities. New York City has implemented various initiatives over the years to combat gun violence, such as violence interrupter programs and neighborhood safety teams. Yet tragedies continue, showing that more work is needed. Public officials have vowed to do everything possible to prevent similar incidents. But change requires sustained effort from law enforcement, community leaders, families, and policymakers alike. In reflecting on this case, it's important to humanize the victim. Kaori was not just a statistic or a headline. She was a 7-month-old girl with a bright smile, a loving family, and a future full of possibilities. She was learning to crawl more confidently, responding to her name, and bringing joy to those around her. Her brother, though young, will grow up without his little sister, carrying the memory of that day. Her parents will mark milestones without her. First words she never got to say fully, first birthdays, first steps that were only just beginning. The suspects, both young men in their late teens and early 20s, now face life-altering consequences. If convicted on the murder charges, they could spend decades or the rest of their lives behind bars. Their actions not only ended a child's life, but also derailed their own futures and brought pain to multiple families. This underscores how gang disputes, often rooted in petty conflicts or territorial issues, can have ripple effects that destroy lives far beyond the participants. As more details emerge from the investigation, including any potential links to larger gang networks or prior incidents, the public will continue to watch closely. DC police have indicated that the shooting may connect to ongoing disputes in the area, and further arrests are possible if additional individuals are found to have played a role. For those following the story, it's a call to empathy and awareness. Hug your loved ones tighter. Advocate for safer communities in whatever way fits your abilities, whether through volunteering, supporting local programs, or simply speaking out against violence. No child should have to die this way, sitting in a stroller on a sunny afternoon. The justice system will now take its course. Amuri Greene has already appeared in court and pleaded not guilty. Matthew Rodriguez is being brought back to face accountability. The family of Kaori Patterson-Moore seeks closure and remembrance more than anything. Community vigils continue to honor her short but precious life, with messages of peace and demands for change echoing through the streets of Brooklyn. This case reminds us all of the fragility of life and the urgent need to address the underlying issues that allow such violence to persist. As the investigation deepens and court dates approach, we will keep watching for updates. In the meantime, may Kaori's memory inspire efforts to protect other children from becoming collateral damage in someone else's war. The pain felt by the Patterson-Moore and Charles Moore families is shared by many who have lost loved ones to gun violence. Their strength in speaking out publicly, even in grief, shows a desire not just for personal justice, but for systemic improvements that could prevent future tragedies. Neighbors have shared stories of increased fear when letting kids play outside or walking to the store. Local leaders have held meetings to discuss safety enhancements such as better lighting, more cameras, and youth engagement initiatives. On a personal level, stories like this often prompt reflection. What would you do if your daily routine was interrupted by sudden violence? How can society better shield the most vulnerable, the babies, the elderly, the everyday passers-by, from the fallout of criminal conflicts? As we conclude this deep dive into the shooting that claimed Kaori's life, it's clear that while arrests have been made, the healing process for the family and community will be long and ongoing. The legal charges against the two suspects represent a step toward accountability, but they cannot bring back the innocent 7-month-old who was taken too soon. Rest in peace, little Kaori Patterson-Moore. Your name and story will not be forgotten, and may they fuel positive change in the city you called home for such a brief time.